I had a total different video planned, but then, like, one of the sweetest things happened. I get very emotional, but it was good emotions. So, I know you can relate to this where you've made mistakes in your life. You've had regrets. You haven't you haven't always made the best choices and decisions. And of course, if you have children, then when you don't make the correct choices and decisions, then of course, those choices and decisions they affect your children. And so, I have struggled with feeling guilty about exposing my children to things that no young kids should ever see. And I've worked really hard at my children seeing me in a different light than what they had seen growing up. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I was like a terrible parent. That wasn't there. I was. I worked a lot. We spent a lot of time together. We had a lot of memories, and we still are making memories. But I'm talking about from an aspect of what I was exposed to. So, therefore, what I was exposed to, that to me was the norm. And then I exposed it to my children, which in turn, they got in situations that they really shouldn't have been a part of. I'm just going to say it. I was a part of a domestic violence relationship. And so, therefore, because of me not making the correct choices and decisions, I exposed my children to that. And then they wind up getting themselves in those similar type situations. And for the longest, I had, what's the word I'm looking for here? For the longest, I felt shame. For the longest, I was constantly feeling like I should have done better. Why didn't I do better? But sometimes when you don't know better, how can you do better? It's all about growth. As you get older, you're going to have those life experiences, and you should be able to grow from those life experiences. I know that we automatically want to be so hard on ourselves, but you know what I realized? You have to give yourself grace. Look at where it is that you came from. So, I'm sitting here and I'm on my laptop and I'm going over the final touches because soon, and I mean very, very soon, my ebook is going to be out. It's called Once Broken to Made Whole. And so I'm just very excited for, just very excited just to share a little bit of my story, share what I've learned, share my takeaways, share the wisdom that I've gotten from them. And I'm just so excited that I'm going to be able to share that with y'all. But anyway, as I'm sitting here going over the final touches of my ebook, just making sure that I haven't overlooked any mistakes, misspelled words, or any of that. My daughter calls me just to let me know of how proud she is of me, of how she's proud of the fact of, and when that year comes, which is very soon, I'm gonna be doing a video about that too. But it's been almost a year of me no smoking weed. I have really tamed this mouth down because I used to be, what they say, cussing like a sailor. That was me. So my daughter was just telling me, like, Mom, I'm just so proud of you that you stop cussing, you don't smoke weed. Like, I really see the changes in you. I see how, and I hope I don't get emotional because I already got emotional on the phone with her. But she was just talking to me about how she's proud of what I've been doing. She's proud of how I've been pushing hard. And sometimes we need to hear that. Sometimes we need that because we'll be so hard on ourselves. Like my daughter just told me, I don't give myself enough grace. Where it is, I'm thinking I'm not doing enough. Look at her perspective of me. She sees me as I'm doing more than enough. That sometimes I'm doing too much, where I'm not giving myself enough credit. But in me hearing that, that makes me want to push even harder for both my girls. That makes me want to push even harder for my children. Because I want them to see, as well as I want other people to see, that just because you used to do one thing, that doesn't mean that you have to keep continuing to do that same thing. As long as God wakes you up and gives you breath in your body, He's giving you another chance to do today what you didn't get a chance to do yesterday, last year, the year before that. He's giving you that chance. He's telling you that, hey, I have enough faith in you that you're going to actually do what it is that I created you to do. You're going to actually become that woman or that man that I created you to be. And it does not matter the different paths that you took yourself down. I'm going to bring you back to the original path that I always had for you. So I just wanted to let somebody know that don't keep beating yourself up. Don't be hanging your head in shame, but you hold your head up high. Because we're human. We make mistakes. As we live life, we experiment. A lot of times we do things, that we're not supposed to do. But it's through the things that we weren't supposed to do that we got the wisdom. The wisdom to be able to apply it to our lives so that we don't do it again. It's the life experiences that we go through is how I'm able to show up so I can sit up here and help y'all through my story, through my testimony. When I say that just like really lit a fire, put an extra fire up underneath me for me to keep continuing to go, because it lets me see how somebody is watching me. Even if they may not always tell me, hey, I see you, you're doing a good job, somebody is always watching me. And somebody is always watching you too. The way you move should be what you do 24/7, whether somebody is watching you or not. Because trust and believe, when you keep continuing to move how you're supposed to move, people that you thought wasn't paying attention, they're going to be noticing. They're going to be looking. They're going to be watching. And how you move, it influences other people. You don't even have to say anything, but they're watching your movements. They're watching your mannerisms. They're watching your patterns. They're watching how, okay, I see how she used to do that, but now look at what she do now. I see where she was, and look at where she is at now. I see how she used to act, and look at how she acts now. Without me even having to say anything, it's all showing up in how I move and how I present myself and my overall attitude. Because the next thing that she said to me was, she was talking to her nail tech about how, her mom and her always are getting into it. And that was me. Like I said, my mouth was something else. So me and my children, we was constantly bumping heads. And at first, you know, sometimes you don't want to hold yourself accountable. It's always somebody else. But when I came to myself, I had to sit in that, and I had to hold myself accountable, and I had to do some self-reflecting on, okay, it can't always be everybody else. If I keep having the same problem with different people, then obviously maybe, yes, there's something that I need to work on, because who was the common denominator in the situation? Me. So that was a hard pill to swallow. I'm not gonna lie. Sitting with myself and realizing that, no, you made it. Yeah, it was you on some things. You made some mistakes. The way you handled that situation, yeah, no. I had to really sit in that. But you know what? I'm glad, because I always wanted the type of relationship with my children where, yes, they're going to know off top, I'm mom first. But because of my girls being older, now we can have that type of relationship where it's like they can feel comfortable enough to come to me. They're not going to be feeling judged. They're not going to be feeling like, man, if I tell my mama this, then this conversation is going to go totally left. There was a time when it used to be like that. Now, I know the difference in reacting and responding, which was what my actual video is going to be about, which is, I'm still going to do that, but now I know the difference between reacting and responding. I used to always react before, and baby, the fireworks used to be fireworking, because when I was reacting, I was going off of my feelings. I was going off of my emotions instead of logic. I wasn't thinking about a situation. I wasn't taking time to process a situation. I wasn't taking time to fully even understand what was going on. It was just, I don't like what you said. I don't like how you made me feel. I don't agree with it. So I'm going to react. And that's it. And that's all. And from that, I had a whole lot of regrets. Look, I said I was going to do that in another video, but I guess here we go. So, since we're going there, do y'all know the difference between reacting and responding? Because me, I thought they was one and the same, and actually, they was not. I just told y'all a little bit about how I used to react. When I say a very emotional creature, where I would just, what's the word that people will say? I know there's those different phrases, but I will always put my foot in my mouth each and every time, because I would go off my feelings, and then afterwards, when that should have been the first thing to do, afterwards, then I would sit and be like, ooh, yeah, that wasn't the outcome that I was expecting. I had a whole lot of regrets. When it comes to you responding is you being logical about a thing. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't agree with it. I don't care if you don't understand it. You're still going to allow that person to be able to communicate, and you're going to allow that person to be able to talk to you. Okay, and what it is that you're supposed to do is, instead of you going off of how you feel, really sit there and process it. Come at that situation how you would want somebody to come at this situation if it was you that was the one speaking. If it was you that was the one who had something to say. I feel like that's a big part of our breakdowns in our relationships, is we not knowing how to react. We knowing how to react, but we don't know how to properly respond. We don't know how to have that effective communication where we effectively respond. You know, my thing was, like my ex had told me one time, he was like, you listen to respond, but you don't listen to understand. But I switched it up a little bit. No, it was like I listened to react, but I did not listen to understand. He was very much right. I listened to point the finger. I listened to make him the problem. I wasn't listening to what it is that he was really speaking to me about, the importance of what he was speaking to me about, so that we together could come up with a solution to the problem. But yet I added to the problem because I was already like, I had that attitude like, yeah, come with it, so I could clap back at you. Strictly off of emotions, not from a logical standpoint at all. Another thing when it comes to reacting and responding, so many people, they will react off of a situation instead of properly responding, is because a lot of times they interpret what they thought they heard you said, but it wasn't actually what you said. How many times have we had confusion that has led into arguments because of you saying one thing and the person saying something else, and you're like, that is not what I said. It's like, what did you hear? Because what I just said and what you heard was two totally different things. So it's like, in order for you to get clarification upon that, I feel like repeat it back to the person so that you can make sure, okay, let me make sure this is exactly what you said, because we all have a different perspective or a different outlook on things. So we're going to interpret things and we're going to hear things totally different. So in order for you to be able to respond properly, you should be able to say, okay, you know what? I believe this is what you said. So let me go ahead and repeat it back to you, so that way I can make sure this is exactly what you said. So then that way I can respond in the proper format. And if you feel like you're in a place where you're not there yet with emotional intelligence, because there was a time that I wasn't there with that emotional intelligence. If you feel that there is that you're not there yet, that's okay. That's all a part of growth. Take a step back. Take a whole step back. Let me process this. Sometimes it's better that way anyway. That's how I used to have my regrets, because it was like I just wanted to keep coming and coming and coming, instead of being like, you know what, me and you on two different pages right now. Emotions are high. Let you go to that corner. Let me go to this corner. Let us like have a moment, stop, think about it, process it, and we'll come back to it later. But not a whole lot of people do that. They react instead of responding. Like I said, I thought they was both one and the same, and they actually was not. Now, there is a Bible scripture. It's in James. I don't know exactly what. I think James 1:19, if I'm mistaken. I don't know, but it will be in the description. But basically what it's saying is for you to be slow to anger, slow to speak, but quick to listen. That is the difference between reacting and responding. That is the difference in having a difference of opinion and you having a full blown out argument. It will be the difference in how you communicate and how you tend to, just how you tend to communicate within your relationships. And then, you know what's crazy? As old as I am 46. I just recently learned that, and this might blow your mind if y'all don't know it, silent and listen, they have the exact same letters, just spelled differently. Now, that is not a coincidence. You have to be silent in order to be able to listen. You cannot listen if you're talking. The only way you can listen is if you're silent. So come on now. You cannot tell me that's a coincidence. They have the same letters but spelled differently because they are together. They go together. They're one and the same. You need to learn how to actively listen. You have to be silent. If you're talking, how are you going to properly hear what somebody else is speaking to you? You're not going to be able to. Like I said, but okay. I thought that was going to be a whole nother video, but you know what? It ties into what it is that my daughter was talking about with her nail tech, because her nail tech was simply talking about how the relationship that she was having with her mom. Because like I said, me and my children's relationship, it used to be fireworks all the time because of not really knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to respond, but reacting. And we saw, and you see where reacting gets you. So she was simply expressing to her that, you know what, since my mom then got saved, we don't argue. And that's facts. I could really truly say that me and my children don't argue. We may disagree about things because we're different individuals. So we're not going to always agree upon a thing, but we've learned to we have learned to agree to disagree instead of it being a full blown out arguing and screaming like how it used to be. Look, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to go back there. But it was so cute because she was simply like, what did she say? She was like, maybe your mom needs to find God like my mom did. I'm not gonna lie. God is the whole reason why I am calm. God is the reason why I choose to move differently. God is the reason why that I look at things with a different light, a different perspective. Excuse me, a different lens, a different perspective. Like my outlook on things is different than when it was when I was in that broken state. I had to allow God to heal me for me to be able to be right here in this place, in this position that I'm in right now. So I'm not sure if I already said it, but just in case I did not, you don't have to even tell anybody what it is that you're doing. People are going to automatically see it. Just in the way that I show up now, just in the way I respond now, just in the way that I move. My daughter is telling her nail tech, maybe your mom needs to find God like my mom did. I'm telling you, man, look, repping God without even have to say that I'm rocking with God, just because of how I move. So that is another nugget for somebody. You don't have to tell people what it is that you're doing. You could show a person way better than you can ever tell them. And I know everybody knows that phrase. So keep continuing to show them. You ain't got to convince nobody of anything. Just keep continuing to be who you are. Just keep continuing to be better than you was yesterday. Just keep continuing to make those steps towards where it is that God has for you. And watch how people come out the woodworks. Watch how people start really watching you. Watch how people start paying attention. Watch who you start influencing. Watch who you start impacting. Before you know it, people gonna be modeling what it is that you're doing. And all you was doing was just being a better you, pouring into you, doing what it was that you had to do to just be in a better space for yourself first and foremost. But in you being in a better space for yourself first and foremost, look at all the other people around you that you are impacting and influencing. So when you think that nobody is watching, there's always somebody watching. When you think that you're not doing enough, you are. There's somebody who sees you, and there's somebody who is going to give you your flowers, and there's somebody who's just so proud of you and applauding you. Like I said, it just keeps making me want to go even harder. So I love y'all, and I will be back.